Hello students, I hope everyone is staying safe at home and keeping up with their books. I'm Vicky Hino and today I'll be taking social science for class 9. Now, talking about this social science, I'll be taking the first chapter which is to do with the French Revolution. Now, this French Revolution, some of you may be wondering why we are going to discuss about the French Revolution. Now, regarding French Revolution is a landmark, okay? It is a landmark in history and it changed the whole system, the foundation of the medieval period. And that is why we are going to discuss about the French Revolution. Now, this French Revolution, it broke out in 1789 and it lasted till 1799. Now, there are lots of reasons, okay? There are lots of reasons why the French Revolution broke out. Now, to make it simpler, okay, to make it easier for you, I think it would be best if we divided it into different points. So, talking about that, we'll go with the causes. Because whenever we talk about a revolution, we all know that there will be a reason, a cause why the revolution broke out. So first we'll discuss about the causes. Now the causes also, we are going to divide it into different heads. So the first head, we will call it as the political cause. Political. Now when we talk about political, we are going to talk about the government. And during those days, regarding the French, okay, the French government regarding the French, they were ruled by king. They were ruled by monarchy system. Monarchy means where a country is ruled by kings. So this here in the political cause, the Bourbon king, okay, the Bourbon king, they were the one who ruled over the France. So France, it was ruled by the Bourbon kings. And then another important point is, this Bourbon kings, they believed in, we call it as absolute monarchy. Absolute monarchy. Now, absolute monarchy means where all the power is under the control of the king. That means the king, he doesn't like sharing his power with anybody. So the kings, the French kings, they believe in absolute monarchy. Then another point is, they also believe in, we call it as divine right theory. Okay? Divine right theory. Now, divine right theory means where the kings, they again believe that they are answerable only to God. That means no one can question them. Whatever the king says, everyone has to obey. So no one has the right to question the king. So this was how the kings, that is the French kings, they used to rule the French. And so this is one of the, we can say one of the major reasons, okay, one of the most important reasons why the people, they decided to go for a change. Because the French people, they were not satisfied. They were not satisfied with the way that the French, that is their kings, were ruling over them, okay? Then coming to the next cause, we call it as the social cause. Now, some historians, they say that the main reason why the French Revolution broke out is because of this, okay? The way the French society was set up. So the second point is, we call it as the social. Now, regarding this social, the French, during those days, the French society, it was divided into 3 estates, okay? 3 classes, but they call it as estates. So it was divided into 3 estates. One, the first is called as the clergy. Then the second estates, they call it as the nobles. And then the third estates, they call it as the common people. Now let's go through, okay? Let's go through each and every one of these estates. So the first one is called as the clergy. Now when we talk about clergy, we are talking about those people who governs the church. That means we are talking about those people who are working in the church. They can be, those days they were called as monk and nuns and so on. So all those people who are involved in the church, they are called as the clergy. And during those days, okay, during those days, what happened was, it was again because of this people, that is, it was again because of the first class, that is the clergy, which made the king becomes more bolder. Because the king, during those days, as we have discussed, they believe in absolute monarchy. So absolute monarchy means where all the power is under the control of their king. And this first estates, that is the clergy, they supported, okay? They were in favor of the absolute monarchy. They also supported, or they also think that all the power should be under the control of their king. So they were also that was also one reason why the kings, they became more bolder. Then another point is regarding the clergy, okay? The clergy, they used to lead a very luxurious life. Luxurious life, those days we are talking about parties, okay? Every day, every night they used to have luxurious parties, and the clergy sometimes they used to organize it. And how they were organizing all these luxurious party, or how the clergy, those people who were working in the church or governing the church, how they became so rich is, they were misusing, okay? The clergy people, they were misusing the tithe. We call it as tithe, okay? Tithe means the money that the people are giving to the church. So the clergymen, they were misusing this tithe. So that is also one reason why they were able to, okay, or they were able to lead a luxurious life. Then another important thing is the clergy. They were not asked to pay any tax. The clergy people, they don't pay any tax. On one side, the clergy people, they are living a very luxurious life. On top of that, they were even asked not to pay tax. So that was the condition of the first estates. Then coming to the second estates, we call them as the nobles. Now nobles, we are talking about the aristocrats. Aristocrats, or during those centuries we call them as feudal lords or landlords, because during those centuries they used to follow feudalism policy. Now feudalism policy means a piece of land, okay? It came out from the word fief, which means a piece of land given to someone on condition of service. That means if I have lots of field or a big field, I will give a small part of my field to the farmers. The farmers, they will cultivate that field. During harvest time, they will divide their harvest into two parts. Half they will take it and half they will give it to the landlord. So that system is called as feudalism. And that was practiced during those centuries. And all the land, it used to belong to the nobles. And so the nobles, again, they led a very luxurious life. Then regarding the nobles, they were allowed to hunt wherever they want. And during those days, the only thing to pass their time would be hunting. Hunting was very famous, and the nobles, they used to go for lots of hunting. And in hunting, what the nobles used to do is they were allowed to go whenever or wherever they want. So that means they can just, if they see an animal passing through a field which is ready for harvest, the nobles, they will just keep on riding their horses into the field and everything will be destroyed. So this was again something which the common people did not like. So that is also another point. Then coming to these nobles, they were exempted from paying tax. They are very rich, but these two classes, that is the clergy and the nobles, both of them, even though they are very rich, both of them were exempted from paying tax. So that was the condition of the French society. Now coming to the third estates. The third estates, we are talking about the common people. And this common people, 80% of the population, it comprises of this common people. And this common people, they used to lead a very miserable life. Because on one side, they don't have anything, because the main focus was to do with land. Now, when I say land, we are talking about field for cultivation. And majority of the French common people, they were called as landless farmers. That means they are farmers without any land. They don't own land. And how they are surviving is they are cultivating the field of the landlords, and that is how they are surviving. So on one side, they don't own field. Then when the harvest is done, they have to divide their harvest between them and the landlords. Then on top of that, again, they had to pay tax. The tax was paid only by the common people. So the common people, they led a very miserable life. And so it was from here, it was the common people who decided that they need to do something. That is, they need to have a change. They want a change because they were suffering so much under the control of their Bourbon kings. And during those centuries, as I've said, the French Revolution, it was led by the Bourbon dynasty, and it was the thing is the king. The king was good. Many of the Bourbon kings were good, but many a times the point is they don't have able ministers to guide them. They don't have ministers to guide them. Then some of the Bourbon kings, again, they were under the influence of their wives. And regarding this time, during this time, it was ruled by, we call it as King Louis XVI. He was the king of France during the time. And this guy, okay, this man, he was a good king. He was a good king in the sense he was like an easygoing king. But the problem was he was under the influence of his wife. And his wife, she's from Austria. She is an Austrian queen, okay, and her name is called as Queen Marie Antoinette, and she was not a very good lady, so to say. And so since King Louis XVI was under his control, even though he wanted to help his people, he was unable to do so. So that was the condition of the people, that is the French society in the social cause. Now coming to the next cause, okay, we have done the political cause, the social cause. Now let's come to the next one. We can talk about here in the third causes. Let's talk about this people. We can call them as intellectual, or many a times they are also called as intelligentsia, okay? Now, this is to do with philosophers. All of you are aware of what a philosopher is, okay? And during those days, those centuries, these people, that is the intellectual, they played a big role. They played a big role in the French society, or in molding up the French society. Because during those days, what these people used to do is, they were able to inspire their people. Okay, this intellectual, they were able to inspire the Frenchmen through their writings. Okay, through their writings. Nowadays, when we talk about how to pass our time, we have lots of gadgets and so on. But during those days, in order to pass their time, the only thing they can do is reading or writing. So that is why these philosophers, they played a big role. And coming to this intellectual, in your textbook, they have mentioned 3 philosophers, okay? One is called as Voltaire, okay? Now this man, Voltaire, he was a great critic. Critics means someone who makes fun of other people in a good way, okay? So this guy, this man, Voltaire, he was a very good critic, and he used to make fun of the nobles. He used to make fun of the nobles and the rich people because of the way they are living, okay? Because on one side, they are living a luxurious life, but on the other side, the common people, that is the French, they were suffering a lot. They were living a miserable life. So Voltaire, these philosophers, he used to make fun of them. In his writing, he made fun of them. Then he also used to organize lots of dramas and all. And in all these dramas, they used to make fun of this rich people. And through this, they were able to inspire the people. Okay. Then another one is, the second philosopher is, we call it as Montes. Now, this philosopher, okay, he was also a very great writer. Now, one main reason why we say that is, there is one thing which he had contributed to the whole world, and that is, nowadays, when we talk about the government, we all know that the government, it has three organs, that is legislative, executive, and judiciary. And all these three organs, we all know that their powers are separated. And that idea, it was given to us by this man, that is Montes. So Montes, he suggested that the three branches, they should be separated. And the reason why he suggested that was so that there will be equality. There won't be any partiality or any influence over one another. So he was the one who suggested the separation of the three organs of the government, that is legislative, executive, and judiciary. Then the third philosopher is, we call it as Rousseau. Now this man, among these three philosophers, Rousseau is considered as the greatest. Okay? Even Napoleon the Great, he said that if it was not for this man, French Revolution would not have occurred. Now this philosopher, that is Rousseau, he wrote a famous book which is called as Social Contract. I hope you will bear with my handwriting. Okay, so it is called as Social Contract. Now, in this social contract, okay, in this novel, he had written that the king and the people, okay, the king and the people are parties, are same parties. So it is the job of the king, okay, it is the duty of the king to look after the common people or to look after his people. And if the king is not looking after his people, then the people, they have every right to revolt against their king. So that is what he wrote in the social contract. That is, the king and his subjects are in the same category. So it is the duty of the king to look after his people. If the king is not looking after his people, then the people, they have every right to overthrow their king. So that is what is written in the social contract, and basing on this, it really influenced the French people. The French people, now they came to realize that their king is there for them, or their king is supposed to look after them. Whereas on the other side, they all knew that the king was unable to do that because the common people, they were leading a very miserable life. So this philosopher, Rousseau, he was able to greatly influence the common people. Then Rousseau, he was also in favor of, we call it as freedom of speech. Freedom of speech means having the freedom to say whatever you want as long as you are not hurting the other person's feeling. That is called freedom of speech. Because me also, I have freedom of speech, you also, you have freedom of speech. So if we don't have a limit, okay, if there is no limit, then the society is going to be in chaos, because I'll be telling whatever I want, the other guy will also be doing the same thing. So here, the point is, freedom of speech means saying whatever you want as long as you are not hurting the other person's feeling. So that is called freedom of speech. And this Rousseau, that is the greatest philosopher, he was in favor of that. He said everyone should have freedom of speech, where they can express their opinion. Then another point is, he was also, okay, he demanded religious tolerance. That means he believed that all religions are equal. So every one of us, we should respect each other's religion. The reason why he came up with this religious tolerance is because During those days, the Bourbon dynasty, that is the kings, all of them, they were following a certain religion. And so what happened was they don't like other people who were following other denomination or other religion. So that was the reason why this philosophers, he came up with religious tolerance, where he said that every one of us, each one of us, we should respect each other's religion. Then, apart from that, he was also able to say, he gave a famous phrase which says, man is born free, but everywhere we are in chain. Men are born free, but everywhere we are in chain. Now, what he meant with this is, each of us, we are born free. We have the freedom, but everywhere again, we are in chain. Okay, we are in chain because of our wants. Our wants are unlimited. We human beings, our wants are unlimited. We always want to have more. We always believe that the other side is greener. Okay, so that is why he gave that famous quotation, that is, men are born free, but everywhere we are in chain. So through all this, okay, the philosophers, they were able to influence the common people, that is the French people. And thus, now the French people, they decided that they needed to do something. They needed to do something, and that is why the French Revolution broke out. Okay, now let's go to another reason, another cause why the French Revolution broke out. Now, in your textbook, they have mentioned a topic which is called as the American War or American Revolt. Now, this has nothing to do with the French. When we think about it, we are discussing about the French Revolution, and now here, American War of Independence is coming in. Now, why they have included this one, the American War of Independence here is, now the American War, that is the Americans, they fought a battle. They fought for their independence against, during those days, the Americans, they were called as the 13 colonies, okay? They were called as the 13 colonies, and these 13 colonies, they were under the control of the British. Now, what happened was, they decided to revolt. They wanted to get their independence. So the Americans, that is the 13 colonies, they revolted against the British. And when they revolted against the British, the French king, he helped the Americans. He helped the Americans in fighting against the British. And one main reason is, because of that, the French, they faced lots of problems. That is, the French economy was affected. Because getting involved in the war, they are spending millions and billions of money. So the French king, he got indulged, or he got involved in the American Revolution, fighting on the side of the American, and in doing that, the French economy was affected. So that is the reason why this topic is included in this French, okay? Now, coming to the other one. Now we have another one, that is another cause, which is called as the economic cause. The economic. Now, just now we have discussed that because of the king indulging in wars, the French economy was affected. So, on one side, the king, they were leading a luxurious life. On the other side, the common people, every day, people were dying of hunger. So that was the condition. And then on top of that, the first two estates, we have discussed that the first two estates, that is the clergy and the nobles, they are very rich, but they were exempted from paying any tax. Whereas the common people, they are very poor, leading a very miserable life. They don't own land. Every day, hundreds and millions of them were dying of starvation, and still then, they were being asked to pay all the tax. They had to pay tax to the king, they had to pay tax to the landlords, okay? Then they had to also pay a direct tax, which is called as taille. And that was a direct tax that they had to pay to the state. So all these were borne by the common people. And so that was the economy okay, the condition of the economy. Then whenever the king, he needed more money, what he used to do is he will again impose more tax on the common people without consulting the parliament, because the French government, they already have a parliament, but this parliament, it was not like the king. They have never consulted the parliament since 1516. So parliament is there, but it was never consulted. And in order to go for more tax or more taxation, the king, following his absolute monarchy, he was taking all the power under his control. He was not consulting the parliament, and he was just randomly just imposing tax on the common people. So that is also one major reason. The last thing was, in the economic sphere, what happened was, the king, he decided to impose tax on salt, okay? Salt. You all know what a salt is. So now the king, he needed more money. So what he did was, he decided to impose again tax on the salt. And this was something which the common people did not like. So this was one main reason, okay, why now the common people, they decided that they needed to do something. If they want to lead a good life or a happy life or a peaceful life, they needed to do something. So that is why the French Revolution broke out. And this French Revolution, okay, it was spearheaded. That means spearheaded means it was led, okay. The French Revolution, it was led by these people. We call them as middle class. It was the middle class who spearheaded the French Revolution. Middle class means somewhere in the middle, not very rich nor not very poor also. And this middle class, they were almost all of them were educated, okay, and they were also rich enough, not as rich as the landlords and the aristocrats, but they were randomly okay with their wealth. And majority of this middle class, they belong to traders. They were business people. They came out from their field. They were not interested in filling or cultivation, so they came out from their field and they started the business, and that is how they were able to gain their wealth. So this people, that is the middle class, they were not very rich nor very poor. But the problem here was, even though they were not as poor as the common people, the upper class, they always insulted them. They were put in the category of the lowest class. And that is why this middle class, they say that everyone is equal. Everyone is equal. That is what they believe in. And they want equality. And so they decided to spearhead it. Spearheaded means they were the one, okay? They were the one who led the revolution. So the French Revolution, it was led by the middle class. Now, when we talk about the French Revolution, as I've said, we have the political cause, where the kings, they were not looking after the people. Then we also have the social cause, where the society was divided into class system. Then we have the philosophers, those who were able to influence the people through their writings and so on. Then we also have the economic cause, where the king was imposing lots of tax on the common people. Now, we have the middle class. Now, what happened here was, talking about this French Revolution, okay? The French Revolution, it has different aims for different people. That means some people, they are in favor of revolution because maybe they don't want to be under the control of the king, or maybe they wanted a better life, or maybe they wanted equality and so on. So it has different aims for different people. And in your textbook, they have mentioned about it. That is, we have the different aims for different reasons. And that is, in one, the first one is, the common people, they wanted to go for the French Revolution because they wanted to put an end to, we call it as feudalism. So for the common people, that is the farmers, they wanted the French Revolution because they want to put an end to feudalism. Then for the middle class, okay, that is, we call them as the liberals. For them, they wanted the French Revolution because they want a new constitution, okay? They want a new constitution. And another point is, they also want to have freedom, that is equality. Then for the third aim, that is the extremists, they don't want to be under monarchy. That is, they wanted to abolish monarchy. So all of them, okay, different peoples, they have different aims for the revolution. So the peasants, they want a revolution because they want to put an end to feudalism and cruel tax. Then the middle class, they want the French Revolution because they want to have a new constitution and equality. Then the third idea or the third aim is the extremists. They wanted to put an end to monarchy. So this is how the French Revolution broke out. So today we have discussed about how or why, because for a reason, there has to be a reason for a revolution broke out. So we have discussed about the causes. I hope you were able to understand. In the next class, we'll discuss about how it broke out. Okay, that is, we call it as the revolution. So how we'll be discussing about how the revolution broke out. So till then, stay safe, be at home, and thank you.